flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Thank you. This is the Monday, September 9, 2024 meeting of the Westport Select Board. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. For welcome comments, I have two. So one, I'd like to thank the election workers for the September 3rd state primary election. So we had 5 precincts. It requires a lot of people working, including Kristen Stinson, the town clerk. So I also want to call your attention to the town clerk's page on our website. There's a lot of information about early voting, absentee voting. There's another election coming up, so we're not done with voting. And then I wanted to make a mention of the people who put on the Mariners Memorial yesterday. There's a new memorial marker that's been placed down at the Westport Point. It was built on the work in the 90s of Keuke Mackomer, who had listed 31 names of Westport Mariners that were lost at sea. And thanks to the really hard work of Robin Winters in particularly, who works at the library for us, and also Betty Slade and Richard Gifford, they found a bunch of other names, and now there's more than 60 names on the monument. So if you get a chance, go check it out just down at the end of the main road, down at the point. So thank you for all of those people who worked so hard to make sure that all of the mariners lost at sea are remembered. The first item that we have on the agenda is a public hearing. It's an application request of Roy Oliveira for a 6-month seasonal trailer permit for recreational purposes on 17 East Beach Road. In practicality, this will be about a 2-month permit, so the permit season ends on October. But this is a property transfer. So we do have the applicant here if anybody has any questions, but the paperwork is all in order. Is that correct?
Just my usual question, if he knows it's an environmentally sensitive area. You do? Thank you.
Okay.
Move.
So we have a motion
Move approval.
and a second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Enjoy your time there. We have a license and permit. We have a request from the Holy Ghost Club at 171 Sodom Road for a 1-day all-alcohol beverage license for a Habitat for Cats fundraiser on Saturday, September 21, from 12 to 5. And this is a pretty standard, we have the police recommendation, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Move it.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have appointments and resignations. We have a request to appoint David Anktel as a full-time cemetery laborer. David has been a seasonal employee for a number of years. This past season, he's been reliable and worked hard. I think that was supposed to be in red for the town administrator
yes, sorry
comments.
about that.
But I'm sure the town administrator stands by the publicly spoken words there. So we're basically converting from a seasonal to a full-time. And is there anything you want to mention about this?
No, he's just been great the last couple of years. He's been very reliable. We'd like to get him on board. He is going for his hoisting license, so hopefully we'll have another employee at the cemetery in the next couple of months with a hoisting license. Another hoisting license, I guess.
Not here. He's not here.
He is not him.
All right, with your recommendation, I'll move him.
Second.
So a motion and a second to appoint David Anktel. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have a request to appoint Tina Raposa, Raymond Raposa, and Jacqueline White to the Agricultural Commission, each for a 3-year term. So I assume these were just overlooked when we did our appointments earlier. Okay.
I'll move him.
So we have a motion and a second to appoint. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have a request to appoint one of the following Republican nominees as registrar of voters for the unexpired term ending April 1, 2026. I just want to note that there are rules on the registrars of voters that have Democrat seats and Republican seats. This particular seat is vacated by a Republican, and so it has to be filled by a Republican. The Republicans sent over a list of 3 names: Andrew Fournier, Daryl Fournier, and John Cabral. So the request is to appoint one of them.
Hand up.
Go ahead, you can go to the mic.
Just a correction to the record, ma'am. My name is Daryl Fornia, and Andrew Fornia is actually supposed to be Andrea Fornia, my
Oh,
wife.
Andrea.
Correct.
Okay.
Mine says Andrea. And the driver says Andrea.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Apologies, Andrea. Is Andrea here?
No, she's actually at soccer practice. Thank
And
you.
so my understanding, this list is in order, right? So she's the preferred candidate. Is that your understanding? You don't know? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I think it was in order. All right. Anybody have?
So you think it's in order that way?
I think it's in order.
Okay. My question was,
It was no particular order.
Oh, in no particular order?
my recommendation is send it back to the party with the recommendation for the seat they want to have filled.
Is there anyone here from the committee that wants to address that recommendation to send it back and ask for a ranking?
I'm the vice chair of the committee, and so you can put me down ranking as number one, and then my wife second, and then the other gentleman third.
Is that sufficient?
Yes.
You don't think there needs to be a vote of the committee? You're good with that? Okay.
I mean, he's representing the committee.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I wanted a ranking.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
I move approval, Craig Dutra.
You move approval of Daryl Fournier
Yes.
Jr.
Second.
to the Republican nominee, registrar of voters. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Welcome aboard. We have action item, we have a request from the Westport River Watershed Alliance. Is there anyone here for that? To approve 2 fall activities. These are pretty standard activities for them. Wednesday, September 11, so that's this coming Wednesday, annual Fall Electronic Recycling Day to be held behind the town hall from 9 to 11. And Saturday, October 5th, for the annual Fall Beach Cleanup Day at Cherry and Webb Beach from 10 to noon.
Move approval of both events?
Second.
Is there any
Discussion?
discussion?
Yeah, on the electronics, Jim, do you know if the fees are involved for drop-off?
I don't know offhand, no.
There, in the past, there have been
Usually,
fees for the
yeah.
bigger, like for television sets, I think have had fees and some of the bigger bigger things.
Okay.
I'm sure people can go to their website and find more information. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. B, request to approve contract amendment number 5, Kleinfelder Northeast, Inc. for $220,164. Do you want to explain this one to us, Jim?
Yeah, so this would be the last contract for the Macumber Loop and Route 6 waterline extension. This is the one we had received a $4 million grant from the state and federal government. The Kleinfelder has been our design engineer of record from the very beginning, designing the work along Route 6 as well as the waterline on Macumber Loop, which goes down Osborne and Gifford Street. They will be overseeing the overall contract. They'll be overseeing the inspectors as well. And any change orders, any grant administration, we have a PFAS, they will assist with that as well. Change orders they'll review, and also just general project work as the project goes forward. It's pretty standard when they design it, that they stay on board and oversee the project.
Okay. You're from infrastructure.
Included with this too is we have some design funding set aside, so we're hoping, we did get a bid that was fairly low with the actual water construction, so we have some additional money available. It has to be spent on this, so we're looking to possibly amend the construction contract to extend it a little further, and this would include design money for that as well.
Okay, thank you.
So just to clarify, we have it within the funding appropriated, correct?
Yes.
I'll move it under that caveat.
Second.
Did you have some?
Yes, so, Jim, does this include the clerk of the works, or that's gonna be separate?
That is, we have the inspectors, geez, I forgot the name of the company, the 3 letters at ECI that we interviewed that'll be doing the actual on-site inspections.
That's out of this, or that's separate?
That's separate, that's separate.
Are we getting ready to sign that contract?
Yeah, we approved, I think that was one I put before the board at the last meeting, so we did get that, yeah.
And we have the pre-construction meeting for this coming up this week, right?
Thursday morning.
What time's that?
I think it's 9 o'clock, either 9 or 10. I can get back to you with a time.
Now, the packet that I requested on the design, and, does that include the soil borings and the contamination stuff?
So all the specs and plans they delivered last week, they're in the office.
With that, does
We have
that
2
have-
copies, I can get you one, and
yeah, how about the soil borings and stuff like that, the contamination?
I have that. I don't know if that was included in the packet.
Can I have a copy of that too, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? So we have a motion and a second to approve the contract amendment number 5 with Kleinfelder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have a request to approve the Town Hall decarbonization project, new HVAC system, and improve the use of $158,200 of local ARPA funds. I believe we have Kathy Stanley here. Jim, do you want to introduce that, or do we want to
Yeah, this
have
is-
Ms. Stanley?
I'm going to have Kathy explain it a little better. She can do it much better than I can.
You
She's our
can-
energy consultant, if you
You
want
can come sit there,
to sit
and
down.
we find it's better if you turn off one of those mics. Just hit the button. Thank you.
Kathy's been working on a number of projects with us over the last couple of years. She probably put in at least a half dozen to a dozen grants for the town, anywhere from charging stations to grants for boilers over at the schools to the HVAC system here. All the lighting fixtures in all the town buildings were all submitted by Nancy, Kathy. So if you want to just give a quick explanation on.
Sure. Everybody can hear me okay? I'm Kathy Stanley, Energy Manager for the town of Westport. I've been working with Westport for, well, since probably 2020. We are Green Communities, part of the Green Communities community for the Department of Energy Resources, State of Mass. We've been a green community for quite some time. One of our major projects started in 2021 was the plan of what to do with this building. We had steam system that is leaking, distributions of the steam is leaking, the steam boiler is approaching end of life. And the Department of Energy Resources happened to have a substantial grant available for us to convert the building to electric through heat pumps. A couple of major pluses and minuses about that approach. One minus, of course, was that the infrastructure of the building would need substantial improvement. The electric infrastructure, which is, if we can do it, would be good for the building. In addition, heat pump technology would also provide cooling, central cooling, for the entire building, which would also be a benefit. So we began to work with an energy engineering firm, to do just a quick feasibility study. We did that study in 2021, finished it up in 22, applied for a Green Community Grant. Typically, those grants run about $200,000. We applied for a decarbonization grant, which was $500,000 limit. We were awarded that grant of $476,000, I believe, to pursue this project. At that point, because of the size of the grant and the size of the project, it would include a couple of $100,000 just in infrastructure improvements, as well as weatherization improvements. We decided, Jim and I, to do a Chapter 25A, Section 11I procurement to hire the proper vendor to do this work. That was the recommended path by Department of Energy Resources. We did that procurement. It took us 9 months to get through it, but we did finalize, through the procurement, a selection of a vendor, B2Q Associates. So they then began the process of actually finalizing the more technical study that was needed for us to move forward with this project. They completed that study at the end of July of this year, and we are now ready to move forward. The following steps need to be taken. We need, of course, to have the Select Board approve the project and agree that we should move forward and approve the funding. And then at that point, we will send all of this paperwork back to DOER for their blessing. They have to approve our procurement process and the steps we've taken and make sure that we have our local approval in order and things of that nature. I don't expect that to take long. They are expecting this documentation, and we've been keeping them updated. Once they approve that, we will move forward with the project. We will begin ordering materials, and we believe, well, actually, Joe thinks we would like to implement starting in February, March of 2025. As part of this procurement, we included energy audits, scoping audits of every school and town building in the town of Westport, because for any energy-related work moving forward for the next 20 years, we do not have to go out to bid again. As long as we are happy with the work B2Q Associates delivers, we can do any of these projects regardless of the size without having to go to bid. And that's a good advantage for us. We're a small town. It costs a lot of resources and time to go to bid, B2Q being one of the leading decarbonization engineering firms in the state, and very knowledgeable and helpful. So while the procurement was time-consuming, it's a good thing for us to do. We've already cleared that hurdle, and any additional funding sources we may get. For example, this year, we were allowed to apply for an energy efficiency and conservation block grant for $50,000, which we did in order to pay the engineering costs of this project. But because we had already done this procurement, we don't have to rebid that. So lots of good work, laying foundations to move forward, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. So my understanding of the ask tonight, because we don't have a contract in front of us, so the ask tonight is to approve moving forward with the project and approve the use of $158,200 of local ARPA in support of the project, right? But we're not signing contracts tonight.
It'll be next meeting.
Right, okay. Dick, I know you've been really involved in the Energy Commission, so I want to give you first dibs.
Yeah,
if wanna
thank
say
you. I
anything.
was part of this for a while, and also when I was the chair, and Jim had me at meetings with Kathy. And, yeah, this is consistent with that. These numbers I had seen for the first time, but this is pretty much along with what we had discussed many times. And we knew that the grant money and the incentive wouldn't be enough to cover the project. So it's laid out here. And also, we apparently have some CPC funding. So it's consistent with our discussions, it makes sense, and I was privileged to meet the contractor, and they were all, what you said they were, a very, very high-quality firm. So I give my recommendation.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion?
Jim, is it all cash we've got to come up with, or can it be in kind with highway helping or whatever?
This would all be cash. So this is a $900,000 project. We got about $600,000 in grants and incentives. We have $150,000 that was previously approved for a town meeting by CPC. Those would be for the electrical upgrades, which are needed regardless of whether we do this project or not. So we would need an additional $158,200 for the town share to get this project going.
And are you proposing that come out of the town ARPA or Bristol County?
Town ARPA.
Okay. Did you have more?
No, I'll move it,
So you're moving approval?
yeah.
Second.
So did you have?
My question on this is, I appreciate all the effort you put into it, but we are in an evaluation of all of these buildings. What's coming up right now, I mean, can this be transferred to a different building?
No. The grants given to us by DOR is required to be used as written.
We haven't looked at the old high school for any grants at all during this period either, right? Because we have some situations.
Well, she wouldn't know.
Well, you would then, right? Dick was involved in this.
Dick was involved in the Energy Commission. We could ask Dick.
Dick, I mean, I'm just concerned on spending $900,000 on this building with the other issues. I mean, you put heat pumps in it. Did they do any kind of evaluation on, I mean, I imagine, does this include insulation and all the other different stuff in this building so that
Yes.
it's going to be efficient? And what is our cost going to be to run this facility in this building?
So there's a couple of issues around that. First of all, it does include complete weatherization of the building, and it involves putting cooling in as well. So that's a substantial benefit. I can tell you, just as it regards to the old high school, that was included in the procurement, and we have a scoping study done for that building. So should down the road we receive the ability to apply for grant money that could make a difference there, we would be able to move the needle through our contract with B2Q. However, that building is very large, and it has a substantial HVAC needs. My personal experience after doing this for 30 years in Boston is that $500,000 wouldn't move the needle there. So I wanted to make sure that building was included in our scoping study, because I wanted to make sure that if we were able to plan going forward, if we were able to, I don't know, realize a grant, or there was something coming down from the feds, for example, that we could procure it quickly. So that was sort of my thought process there, and I appreciate your dilemma of where you're at, but
Oh, and it just means we don't have to go out, like you said, if we do move forward, then we
Yeah.
don't have to go out to bid for that.
that's correct. So if we were to, for example, this is craziness, but if you were to decide you wanted to borrow the money to fix that building, right? You could do that and hire B2Q to fix it without going to bid, and you would have complete control of the project. You wouldn't have to do low bid on any materials or any systems. You would control it completely.
And if we were to do like a smaller project within the existing building, we could find-
That's correct. Anything from a simple lighting upgrade to a full-bore HVAC revamp, and they have the talent to do that. We included every town building and every school building, including the new school. And my reasoning for that was because you never know with the feds. I've seen crazy stuff go on here. Should we get a large decarbonization grant or a geothermal grant or an ability to get a direct pay tax credit or, I don't know, something like that, we could potentially do a geothermal product that would pull both the high school, the new high school, and Westport Elementary. So I wanted to make sure that this procurement and this project, while it addresses our immediate concerns here in this building, it also provides us with lots of choices and options for the future, should we be able to fund it.
Thank you. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do appreciate all that. And as far as I'm looking at this building, I do, whatever we do decide to do with the building, I guess it would be a benefit to us.
Any-
But my concern right now is just, you know, the ARPA money that we're using to match this right now, you know, and the other needs that we have in town, if this was the time to move forward with this project.
Is there any further discussion? So we have a motion and a second to move forward with the project. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? One opposed. Thank you.
Kathy, thank you.
My pleasure.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Next item we have on the agenda from Rocher Goslin, Bear Clan Mother of the Pokanoket Nation for beach access and parking permits. Did you want to come? Welcome.
Thank you. So we applied a few years ago for the parking. They gave us 2, and we have used them. We have been good stewards of the beach. We pick up when we go. We always do healing ceremonies there for the beach and the water. And we would like to have them reinstated. I had called during COVID, and they asked us to come back later because the way things were all closed down.
So you're specifically asking for 2 beach pass,
Yes.
but not for a specific vehicle, right? That you can switch to different vehicles, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I would just mention, I was here at the time, and there was discussion, and this really was well supported, and there have not been any problems. And I think the request for 2 is very modest and very fair, so I'd be supportive now as I was then.
I'll move approval,
Second.
So,
granting the 2 beach permits.
okay, so I think the question that came up last time was whether to have them pay for the permits or whether the town would gift them the permits, or if that's the right terminology. I don't remember what we did before.
They just gave it to us.
We just gave them to us, yeah. So are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is to grant 2 beach passes at no cost to the Pokanoket Nation for beach access for their events. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
I have a question.
Yes.
The last time, sometimes we want to do a bigger gathering, not just a couple of people, because we never know who's going to be able to attend and the wedding, the weather.
Yeah.
And they said that to call in advance and they would arrange for us to be able to have more passes. That's really hard to do because we never know who's going to be feeling well, who wants to come, and we don't know the weather.
What we've done before, for situations like a wedding would be the big example that we have. What we've done before is that you come before the board saying you're going to have an event, you expect, 10 cars. during this time period, and then we don't have to like issue passes. I think that's what we've done before, Paula. We just notify the police department that there was an event approved over there, and that's typically what we've done.
Yeah, I also think it would be better during what I call the near off-season.
Right.
Which is July and August, you know, in terms of town and permit user beats, we're pretty much at capacity.
Yeah.
But right now, for example, it's not an issue, or in June, it's probably not as much of an issue, so.
So do I have to come, so you want me to come before the board if we are having a bigger,
If you're having a bigger event, contact Paula Brown. This is probably who you talked to before, right? Contact Paula Brown, tell her when the event is for, and you don't have to come back. We can just approve, you'd see we approved a bunch of stuff that nobody is here. But I would say that it's unlikely to be approved if it's a weekend in July and August.
no, we usually are busy ourselves.
But you don't have to, if you're having like a one-time event like that, you don't have to come for each pass. Just tell us this time to this time, and we'll approve, make sure the police are okay with it. And then you could just have cars there.
All right.
Anything else?
Nope, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. E, we have a request from the Long-Term Building Committee to approve the Serpide proposal to develop digital imaging of the old high school for $13,500.
Move approval?
I just want to know what the difference is between this one and then the one I proposed a few years ago.
I think it's the same one, Jim Whiten.
Maybe the same one, this is through Serpide.
We should be able to use some of our hours and whatnot. Last time it was $5,000, and it was only 3 years ago. So the point of
had
it.
Go ahead.
Well, the point of it before is because of COVID, people couldn't go in the building. We want to be able to people to explore it and whatnot. Now that we could take pictures and everything, I mean, do we have it within a budget, Jim? Within the funds?
Yes, it's
All right.
in that town meeting warrant article.
All right, just look into if we can use some of our hours, because we haven't used the selectmen hours this year. We've been letting planning use it. So maybe we can get a little bit knocked off, so. All right, I'll second it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the Serpide proposal to develop digital imaging of the old high school building. Is there any further discussion?
So, Jim, this is for the RFP?
No, this is
No,
for
this
the
is the
imaging
work.
from Serpide.
So I,
Or was it included in the RFP is what I'm asking? And did the RFP go out?
the RFP went out Friday, I included it as an additional document that would be available to the firm that gets the award for the RFP.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that's unanimous. We have a preliminary license permit approval. Is there anybody here to talk about any of those? I was going to pass over that one and come back unless there's anyone here for the permits. All right, so I'm going to come back to F. The next item we have is 5A. This is a beach committee update.
Oh, there he is.
Sean Leach, you never think he's here, but he's always lurking in the
Around
hallway.
every corner.
Been lurking in
Please.
the hallway since we started.
Please
Yes,
come
Sean.
forward. Sean Leach of the Beach Committee, welcome.
Good evening. My understanding is you want to report, or what has, we've had a very successful year at the beach, and in that, by that I mean no large incidences, no deaths, quite a few rescues, but not any problems of any note, basically in any way, shape, or form. You know, we got a new beach vehicle this year, though got on the the beach a little late. We do have a new beach vehicle, and we are in the process of rehabbing the parking facility at the Cherry and Webb Beach over the winter,
What are you doing
hopefully.
to it?
What's that?
What are you doing to it?
Well, it needs to be reconfigured. One of the problems we had a couple of weekends ago, for instance, right now we have these vertical utility poles that have horizontal utility poles between them that separate the bays from each other. Well, someone got locked in a couple of weeks ago, and they decided to remove some of them so they could go between the bays and push them in the middle of the parking lot. But we're going to rehab it, do some, I don't want to say landscaping to a certain extent, and probably put up a sign that's better indicates that this is the town beach and not Horse Neck Beach. Right now, one of the biggest confusions, despite a big flashing sign, is they think they're at Horse Neck Beach. They come over the bridge and the GPS says your destination is on your right, so the first thing you do is take a right. And they end up at the town beach, and there's all kinds of problems with that. So we're going to hopefully have a sign up that makes it more clear that this is town beach and it permits, right? Probably a nice wooden sign at the entrance to the bays itself. We had a very successful year with lifeguards. We had more lifeguards than we needed this year, unlike last year when we were Mike Croteau did a great job this year, once again, scheduling and running the lifeguards, scheduling at the beach. Did an admirable job working with, and we expect that most of the lifeguards will be back next year, and we shouldn't have a problem, depending on whether the state poaches by raising the salaries of their lifeguards from us. They particularly are interested in Mike to go over to the beach, by the way. So that's basically it. We did have a few complaints, one of which came in the other day, actually, regarding East Beach. The facilities at East Beach, whether we don't put a porta-john there anymore because it just turned into a total, people are using it to throw trash in it and everything, and piling trash against it. It became more of a hazard than an amenity to the beach. Most people didn't want to use it. The second problem we had, and I noticed it, and there's a woman who sent an email that I'm going to give to Jim at the end of the meeting, camping down there in East Beach. There's people who are upset about people without stickers that are camping, never mind with stickers. And this particular person has a significant other who's a double amputee, and they tend to park so he cannot access the beach, and he's on the other side. I see this couple occasionally down there. I've had this conversation before. We were going to set up a handicap parking on the East Beach, but because of the storms last year and everything that went on at East Beach, it was hard to do, and if we had done it at the fall last year, it wouldn't be there anyway. We are trying to improve handicap access to the beach. We're going to redo the signage and whatnot at the beach, so hopefully everything's going to go well. There's been a discussion about, I guess, working with or working side by side or a hybrid committee with the recreation and/or beach committee as one committee, or separate committees that meet together occasionally to discuss the facility itself, and utilizing the recreation director as personnel for the beach committee. At the beach, we don't have an administrative assistant or any kind of help other than what we kind of scramble and do ourselves and stuff like that. Last year, Dana helped out quite a bit with our thing, and I think some of the money that we take in will now be supplementing her salaries to help us administratively with the beach. I'm not sure how, the last meeting when we decided to become part or become with the recreation committee, there was not a full board. There was only 3 of us. It's hard to get a full board in the summer. For some reason, they don't want to come out on a Thursday night when it's nice. So we did have 3 members, but I'd like to have another poll in September when we have a full board at the meeting, including our new member who just was appointed, who's trying to catch up to speed on everything. So I think that's about it as far as what the beach is. I don't know if anybody has any questions or concerns. Or
Craig?
I think it's a great idea to combine the resources of the 2 committees, and looking at that, in terms of maybe even further development of that relationship.
Because it's an employee.
Yeah, because they have a staff person, and also to maximize the use of the different facilities for recreation in the community, and the beaches are a huge part of that.
From a personal standpoint, the reason I got on the beach, Penny, 19 years ago now, was, initially the funds were being dispersed to the general fund, and there was no money to do anything at the beach. So we had a hard time with rescue equipment, improving the facility itself and things like that. So I really like that the beach fund stay with the beach. And that,
I wasn't going that.
No, but I mean, there's.
I was thinking of personnel
The
issues.
thought process is out there is that this is going to be used to fund other things, and I know a lot of people are concerned about that.
No,
So,
I've heard that concern.
okay, yep.
Dick?
I have a question about the fence at Cherry and Webb,
Yep.
and when will that be completed?
In the next month, we're hoping, at the next meeting, we're hoping to vote to award the contract. And then we had 2 bids, and they were both very close. We do have one that's a lower bid, and they're looking at the specs to make sure that what they're putting is what we expected them to put in. So we expect it to be done sometime in October. We left it to their schedule to make it cheaper for us, basically because they're in their peak season right now, or just getting out of their peak season. So the later we go, the less expensive and the easier it will be.
Jim, wouldn't we have to vote on that contract, or is there some special reason we don't have to?
No, it'll come before the board, right?
So the beach
Right.
committee.
We'll make a recommendation
Yeah,
that
okay.
this person or these people should be the one.
I just want to make sure.
Okay. No,
You
no,
gotta-
no.
You got to calendar it
Well,
out.
again, we didn't have a full board, so we had the 2 bids, and I prefer a full board when we make a recommendation and evaluate the bids, but we do have a low bids.
Okay, all right, thank you.
John, could I
Steve?
just suggest over the winter that we maybe touch base with the police department again, because we still get the complaints on peak, you know it. People don't like that there's a max fine of 50 or whatever. Can we see if anything can be done there? As you know, years ago, we used to have, because we have a record sitting there on the busy weeks. Just to see if we got any ideas for next year, because people get so excited.
We had a couple weekends that were very bad this year, and we had a number of complaints at the beach committee website on about parking. And people, they don't care. $50 isn't going to deter a family that wants to go to the beach, because it's more expensive to go to the movies than it is to park at the beach for $50. The other problem we have is the drop-off syndrome, where people drop off a whole bunch of people. Because, we have 104 plus or minus parking spaces, but you get on the beach and there's 1,000 people there. It's like, where'd they all come from?
So, yeah, I just figured if you could touch base with that, maybe there's some kind of plan we could,
I mean-
on the slow months.
Not that this is one of the problems or one of the concerns that is coming up more frequently is the boater's beach.
Yeah.
Because, and we don't really have jurisdiction over that per se, unless you want us to, but there's been a lot more problems, including some of the injuries that were happening were at the boater's beach that the lifeguards had to attend to.
Yeah.
And the plovers are always over there.
And Chris,
Go ahead, no, go ahead, you were.
and Chris Boyle's still been a help from state, correct?
Right, he's been a tremendous help, yeah.
I'm going to give him props.
Penny?
One thing I'd like to address is we appreciate the 18 years that you've been down there.
19, ain't it?
But, and my feeling, if you need some help from recreation, help out with some administrative fees and stuff, I'm okay with that, but I think the beach committee should maintain control of all of that.
Well, basically, we've been charged from the beginning for policy recommendations to the Board of Selectmen and any other concerns along to the Board of Selectmen to come here and say, we think you should adopt this policy or whatever, what have you. It's not a bylaw, but policies as they come up. There's always something, you learn something new every year.
With the lifeguards and the cost of the lifeguards.
Right.
And your maintenance of
Yeah.
the beach. I mean, those things, it's only gonna increase. So we might be not, we're bringing in some money, but we gotta keep up to what we're doing.
We were actually 500 less beach passes this year than previous year. We have 4,400, give or take, last year and 3,900 this year. But we don't know if that's because we raised the fees or just that there's less people or less, because I've seen it over the last 10 years, when it peaked during COVID, that it's dropped off a little bit. The parking situation has gotten better. I don't know what the reason is that. And there was talk from the beach committee about possibly a parking attendant to help with people who don't have stickers. You get them before they pull in as opposed to ticketing them after they're there.
So we did online permitting. This is the first year for online permitting, right? How did
Yeah.
that go?
It went very well. Again, I have to thank both Chris and Carla in the town clerk's office who did an admirable job walking people through with a tremendous amount of patience, the process of getting the sticker. I think it went very well. I think, there's always a learning curve, and there always will be a learning curve because of, and I even had some issues depending what browser you used and that type of thing, but I think it went very well. I haven't heard feedback from the police as to the sticker itself. When the sticker hung from the mirror, it was real easy to see. When it was stuck on the corner, you had to do more walking and eyeballing, so to speak. But I think I don't know how the public feels, but I think it went very well as far as the speed. It increased the speed of getting the pass, and they issued temporary passes when things were a little busy, so people could still go to the beach. So I think it went very well.
Excellent. Anybody else have anything?
Thanks. See you in April.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Thanks for
probably
doing
for
the locking and the unlocking of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that in itself we had quite a few lock-ins this year, and it went very well. I didn't chase people down the beach to figure out where they were. Like I said, that incident a couple weeks ago was a rarity.
For the public, the answer to being locked in at the beach is not to remove the infrastructure that's there. It is to call the non-emergency line at the police department, and they will come unlock the door.
And again, it's I think it's a misunderstanding that has been continuing for, God, I don't know, last 10 years, that it sunset, and it's open till 9, and it's not. It's 8 to 8. It says clearly on the sign, it says clearly on the big flashing highway sign, gates lock at 8, but for some reason, everybody thinks, oh, I thought it was 9.
Do you send it, through the chair, do you send it with the stickers? Do you send any rules with that? Like,
There is a policy.
You send it with it?
Yeah, and I don't know if people even look at it. They just put the sticker on it and check it out the window. So,
cool.
anyway.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Is Jeff Bull here?
I don't see
Is
him.
he lurking in the
Mr.
hallway
Morris has
somewhere?
got an item.
You're not here for the Hicks Bridge? No, you're here for, okay, we're gonna skip over B because we don't see Jeff Bull out in the hallway. So C, next steps for Drift and Cornell Road culvert replacement. Michael Burtis, the town planner. Welcome.
Thank you. I also have Sarah Cantal, did I pronounce your last name correctly? From the Buzzards Bay Coalition.
You can turn on the mic, but
Yeah, we'll,
beware of,
We'll go down to the just
Should be okay.
one.
I think it's okay, they think they
Got it
fixed
worked out.
it. I think they fixed it, you can turn it
In a
on.
while, so. Okay, so if you all recall, and this goes back to probably winter of this year, we initiated this project, or started talking about doing this project with Buzzards Bay Coalition in the winter. And so what really got this kicked off is that we, in April 2024, received a Buzzards Bay Natural Estuaries Program grant to study replacing the culverts at Angeline Brook at Cornell Road, and the Snell Creek and Lions Brook crossings of Drift Road. And so BBC had assisted us with that grant application. If you recall, I think I talked to the select board about receiving a support letter back in April. And so the town was awarded $50,000 for this project. And Buzzards Bay Coalition is going to provide approximately $35,000 in grant funds to support this initiative. And so the purpose of this project is to design and replace the failing culverts at those 3 locations. And these culverts will need to be right-sized culverts that will be able to accommodate the stresses that climate change is creating on stormwater infrastructure, so making sure that their size is a little bit larger than you would necessarily need for a typical rain event today. So trying to plan ahead for some of that future resilience. And then importantly is that these are habitat areas for cold water brook trout, which is a somewhat rare species in Massachusetts, and we have a high concentration of this fish species in southern Massachusetts. And so it'll improve the habitat conditions for them. And so in service of this grant, we signed an MOU with Buzzards Bay Coalition to kick this off, and they put the project out to a bid and contracted with Gomez and Sullivan engineers to begin developing those designs. So what Sarah is here is to provide the select board an update on that project as it relates to their work with the consulting engineer Gomez and Sullivan, and then there's a substantial grant there's a substantial amount of money in grant funds in developing wildlife passage projects, particularly for culvert programs. So, and that's something that we're intending on applying for later on this month. So before I hand it off to Sarah, we're not asking the board for any sort of authorizations or match dedications. We just really want to make sure you're being informed of this project as it moves along, because it will involve, if we receive funding and things move on to construction, would involve a substantial disturbance to the town's roadways.
Turn it back on. There. Thank you.
Hello, so Sarah Quintal. I am a Westport resident, but also a restoration ecologist over at Buzzards Bay Coalition. And so to fill you in on where we've been, so we have a couple of grants that we've put together in order to provide the funding for Gomez and Sullivan Engineers to take a look at these 3 culverts. This work complements the land acquisition work that we've been doing ourselves and in conjunction with Westport Lands Conservation Trust in order to protect as much of the corridors along these cold water streams as possible, because it really is a rarity to have cold water sea-run brook trout in southeastern Mass. It's the biggest concentration is here in Westport, and that is definitely worth protecting. All of this sort of dovetails and builds upon each other. And so we were able to get this grant funding for Gomez and Sullivan to do initial data collection, which includes, they're doing the wetland resource determinations, getting all the critical elevation information they need to put together a conceptual plan. They're taking a look at the water level changes and the hydrologic and hydraulic analysis needed to figure out how to, what size culvert the existing culverts would best be replaced by for each of those 3 scenarios, and making sure that those could accommodate significant size storms that are getting more and more extreme as the years go on. So the fact that these culverts are in poor shape, they certainly do need replacement, and we would like to see them replaced with a design that can accommodate the flashy storms that we have been getting, and that can also address habitat improvements for these fish, so kind of a win-win scenario. So at this point, the data collection has been complete. The hydraulic analysis is currently underway, and we expect to see some conceptual designs within the next month or so. And then what we'd like to do is put forth those concept designs for input by the town. And then ultimately, if there is funding secured in place, then take it to the next step for engineering. So the application that we are interested in helping the town submit is a federal grant. It is through MassDOT, and it is a national culvert replacement project. So the culverts, whether it's removal, replacement, restoration, this grant encompasses all of them, but it's specific to streams that have anadromous fish species, so species of concern, where we want to make sure that fish that are coming between the bay and the freshwaters, that they have full passability. And so that is the key thing for this grant, and we think that these 3 culverts are compatible with the grant. It does have to be submitted by the town, and it would fund the final engineering or preliminary through final engineering and construction for these projects. So the current estimate, ballpark estimate from our engineer, high to low end, is about 3.2 to 4.2 million for full construction of these 3 culverts. Culverts are expensive. And so when we see opportunities like big grants like this one, we would like to put our best foot forward in order to see if we could get a chunk of that. Even getting one of these replaced would be wonderful, but we'd love to package it together and really sell the cold water stream uniqueness that we have here. And we think that it could be a solid application. So it's due within a couple of weeks. By the end of this week, we would be helping the town put together all of the application components so that there's time for the town partners to review it before getting submitted.
Thank you.
I just have one other thing to add. So there's a very large pot of money on the table right now that a lot of communities haven't really dipped into yet. At least that's what I understand from conversations with staff at Buzzards Bay Coalition. So there's $200 million available through USDOT for this program. And so when the funds were first released, they did not even get near the bids that they were expecting on these projects. So I think it's a great resource that we could actually not just continue moving the ball forward with plans, but also get the construction and the culverts in the ground.
Great.
Thank you. Anybody have any?
The Drift Road, where would they be located? I know where Angeline Brook is on Cornell.
Yeah.
How far up would they be? Where most are they? Because there was no map in the package today, I noticed. Oh, just describe it.
Yeah, it's, but Cornell Road, so Angeline on Cornell, it's the very first culvert
Right.
coming up from the bay.
Yeah.
It's very near Westport Land Conservation Trust property.
No, I know where that one is, yeah, yeah.
So the other two
Probably
are
a
on
map
Drift
on
Road,
it.
so it's two different streams, so it's Snell Creek and Lions Brook. And, yeah, without a map, I don't know how specifically.
We have another project on Drift Road, is why I mentioned this, Kirby Brook, unrelated to.
This gives you at least, it's not the exact location of each of them, but this image right here gives you a general indication of where they're located.
Oh, is one of them near the area where the guardrails, we've been talking with the neighbors about the guardrails, is that what you're wondering?
Talking about Kirby Brook?
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't really
Yeah, you
tell
can't, it's
from
hard to
this.
tell from that map.
It's not
Are there existing culverts here?
They are, so if you flip to the cover page, it actually shows you an image of those culverts as they are today.
Okay.
So I think the one at Kirby Brook, that one was, they were talking small bridge versus culvert replacement.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Yep.
What about the Heron? Towards the harbor? Did you guys look at that at all? That's where they're looking at moving some water lines through that area. It's actually called the Heron Run. It's another size of pipe that was changed by the highway a while back. I mean, that might be another one to look at. There's kind of money out there. And did you consult with Sean Leach at all on any of this stuff? Because Sean had mentioned to me a while back about, while he was, I don't know if he's still fish commissioner, but there was monies in like fishing licenses for this type of stuff where they could, you know, maybe get some more kind of grants for engineering or whatever as we pursue this or match money or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Anything that can help give us a little bit of match, even, you know.
Because I know he was looking at like a fish ladder over on Forge Road, and it's just that the reason I mentioned the Heron Run thing is that's a situation where there's two private water supplies up there that are trying to cross that right now, and it's an undersized pipe that had been changed not too long ago, so it would definitely be a project that we should look at.
Is the,
Do we have time to circulate this to the fish commissioner, to opine if it affects that?
we can, I mean, we can always make it, you know, two different tracks, so we can still move ahead with the grant application.
Right,
And, you know, submit it to them as well for further input. 'Cause
Yeah.
Right now, it's very conceptual level, what has been designed.
Okay.
Well, not, I mean, it's mostly just been data collection, so, yeah, we would definitely want to get their feedback.
Okay.
No, I mean, when you start talking about the Kirby Bridge, you know, all of these came up, and, I mean, there's a
Yeah.
few locations, and I know that how much
Is the,
Heron runs it.
does the herring run cross a road? though?
Yes.
It does, okay.
Do you remember which stream that one is on?
Jim, you know that one where they're talking about the water supply up there, which, it goes to the pond, right? The Cocky's Pond, isn't it?
The Heron Run does, right?
Yes.
Goes to Cocky's Pond.
Yep, crosses on the way down to
Yeah.
the Beach Ave.
Looking for,
Yeah, that was definitely.
River
not
Road, is
this
it?
particular stream. This one was focused specifically on the cold water streams.
So Manny, somebody suggested to me that it's very hard to hear you, so you might want to think about positioning your mic differently.
Okay.
If you want to be heard. All right, anything else? I just want to thank the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and Michael, I want to thank you. You guys get a lot of grant money. We would not be able to do these kinds of projects without your help and the other community organizations that we have, and we just want to say how much we appreciate that, because I know you do a lot of work. I know Michael does a lot of work, he gets paid for it, but your group does a lot to support him, and we really thank you for that.
Thank you. Teamwork is key. Having this working
Absolutely,
together
yeah.
is really important. So we appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jeff Bull, I didn't
Must have
see Jeff
overslept
Bull
or
yet.
something.
All right, so let's go back to 4F. So 4F is the
Got to read them all, right?
license preliminary approval. So
Just preliminary.
this is a preliminary, so what we do to facilitate the process of issuing all these permits for the next year is we preliminarily approve them so that when all the paperwork is completed and everything is in order, we can just issue the permits as they become available rather than have to come back for each meeting. So this is very common for us to do, just kind of a blanket approval, but they won't actually be issued permits until all the paperwork is in order. I just had a question, Paula, about these crossed out ones. So
I moved them to a different category,
okay,
but I have both them, so
And all of these are continuations of existing permits, right? None of them are new. Right, okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read a page or two, and then somebody else is going to pick up and read a page or two, because this is a lot, and we have to read them all. If you have a concern about any of them, please say hold, and we'll hold on that one, like we do at town meeting that Steve Boers has taught us all to do. So I'll start. All alcohol permits, a Coke-Sit Club, the Back Eddy, Bittersweet Restaurant, Bootleg Barbecue, Holiday Lanes, Cozy Nook Restaurant, Oriental Pearl, Portas da Cidade, 10 Cousins Brick Oven, the Bayside Restaurant, the Westporter, the Westport Club, the Social Club, White's Restaurant. Wine and malt liquor license, Compton Clam Bakes and Catering and Village. Okay.
Compton?
Hold on Compton. And Village Pizza. The Veterans Club, all alcohol, WA&R Olette Post 8502. Club, all alcohol, Holy Ghost Club. Seasonal Wine and Malt, a Coke-Sit Club doing business as the Pro Shop, Bay Breeze Inc. Package Store, all alcohol, Country Liquor and Variety, Harry's Country Store, Lee's Market, Supreme Gas, Westport Market, Westport Wine and Spirits. Package Store Wine and Malt, Cumberland Farms Inc., 2234, Noel Inc., doing business as Village Market, Pine Hill Gas and Convenience, Star Country Store and Deli.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I erred. Could I put a hold on Harry's Country Store?
Harry's Country Store has a hold.
Harry's County, I assume that's Harry's.
Yeah, okay. Farmer Brewery, Buzzards Bay Brewing, Farmer Winery, Westport Liquors.
That sticks, Mike.
Stick your wrestling the paper on your mic. You gotta be careful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hotel Innkeeper Wine and Malt, Hampton Inn and Town Place Suites. Common Victualler, a Coke-Sit Club, Inc., doing business as Pro Shop. Alice A. Macomber Primary School, Baker's Beach Snack Bar, Bay Breeze, Inc., Countryside Market, Cumberland Farms 2273, Delano's Daily Grind, Dunkin' Donuts, Edible Creations by Jerry, Gooseberry Natural Foods, Handy Hill Enterprises, Honeydew Donuts, Kathy's Coffee Shop and Creamery, Lexi Lou's Place, Lexi's Road Dogs, Lickety Splits, Nick's Homemade Pizza, Nokachoke Hall Association, Olympia Pizza, Our Lady of Grace Church, Pacachuk Inn, Paradise Hill Farm, Partners Village Store, Perry's Bakery, Portas da Cidade, St. John the Baptist Church, Stacy Cakes Tea Shop and Cakery, 10 Cousins Brick Oven, the Head Town Landing Store, Timo's Pizza, Weatherlow Farms, Westport Council on Aging, Westport Country Day School, Westport Elementary School, Westport Fair, Westport Gas, Westport Junior Senior High School, Westport Lobster Company, Westport Meats, Westport Pint United Methodist Church, Wild Honey Cafe, Wingate's Cakes. Does anybody else want to take over?
Sure.
Okay.
Entertainment, a Coke-Sit Club, Inc., Back Kitty, doing business as the Back Eddy, Bittersweet Restaurants, Buzzards Bay Brewing, Holiday Lanes, Holy Ghost Club of Westport, Inc., Oriental Pearl Restaurant, Portas de Cidade, 10 Cousins Brick Oven, WA&R Willette Post 8502, Weatherlow Farms, Westport Club, Inc., Westport Rivers, Inc., White's Restaurant. Innkeeper, Coke-Sit Club, Inc., Hampton Inn, Pocahontas Inn, Westport Town Hospitality, doing business as Town Place Suites. Amusements, Holiday Lanes, Oriental Pearl Restaurant. Motor Vehicles, Class 1, Bulldog Performance. Motor Vehicle Class 2, A Auto Sales 3D, Whole Day Auto Sales, 3D Auto Sales. Advanced Motor Sales and Service, Emerald Bus Company, doing business as Emerald Bus Truck Sales and Service. Auto Plus Motor Cars, Bullier's Garage, Charlie's Auto, Dan's Auto Sales, Distinctive Auto Body Refinishing and Sales Limited, Ferreira's Auto Body and Sales, Ferreira's Auto Sales and Marine Annex, Frankie Brayton Jr. Auto Sales and Service, Inc., GNS Used Auto Sales, G. Souza's Hillside Motors, Inc., Glenwood Auto Sales, Greenwood Park Motors, Inc., Holla Auto Sales, Inc., Hilltop, Hometown Motors, Horseneck Auto Sales, Inc., iCars, Inc., J&L Pondview Auto Sales Corp., JBS Towing Services Corp., John Soers Village Garage, Inc., 660 Main Road, John Soers Village Garage, Inc., 660A Main Road, Leclerc's Auto Sales, New Way Auto Sales, Prestige Automark, Inc., Prestige Automark, Inc., R&R Auto Body, Richard Mendes doing business as Mendes Auto Sales, Rob's Auto Care, Inc., Samuel Ferrera doing business as Samuel Ferrera Used Auto Sales, Soma Imports, Inc., State Road Auto Sales, Inc., doing business as State Road Auto Sales, State Road Auto Sales, Inc., doing business as State Road Auto Sales Annex 1, Sue's Auto Sales, Inc., Tech Auto World, LLC, Thad's Auto Salvage, Inc., Top Quality Auto Sales, 935 State Road, Top Quality Auto Sales, 937 State Road, Top Quality Auto Sales, 1018 State Road, Westport Auto and RV Center, Windmill Cycles, Motor Vehicles Class 3, Atlantic Salvage, Inc., Mid-City Scrap Iron, Inc., Robert J. Damaris, Thad's Auto Sales, Auto Salvage, Inc.
I'll take it over again.
Go ahead.
Motor Vehicle Repair, Adamsville Garage, Advanced Motor Sales and Service, Amaral Bus Company, Inc., doing business as Amaral Bus Truck Sales and Service, Barry's Mobile Automotive, Booyah's Garage, Bulldog Performance, Charlie's Auto, Distinctive Auto Body Refinishing and Sales Limited, East Coast RV and Auto Repair, Fern's Auto Repair, Ferrera's Auto Body and Sales, Five Star Collision, Inc., Foursquare Village Garage, G. Souza's Hillside Motors, Inc., Glenwood Auto Detailing, Granite City Crushing, Holla Auto Sales, Inc., Integrated Street Performance, JBS Towing Services Corp., Joe's Auto Repair, John Soers Village Garage, Inc., Lou's Custom Exhaust, Martin's Auto Repair, Mendy's Auto Repair, New Way Auto Sales, Prestige Auto Mart, Inc., R&R Auto Body and Sales, Rob's Auto Care, Inc., Rogers Automotive, Inc., Route 6 Gas, State Road Auto Sales, Thad's Auto Salvage, Inc., Top Quality Auto Sales, 935 State Road, Top Quality Auto Sales, 937 State Road, Top Quality Auto Sales, 1018 State Road, Westport Auto Clinic, Westport Tire, Inc., Whaling City Transit, Inc., Wilfred's Garage, Inc. So I'll entertain a motion to approve all of those except Compton Clam Bakes and Catering, Harry's Country Store, and A Auto Sales.
And we're moving them subject to the inspections or whatever, subject to sign off, correct?
Subject.
Moving subject to sign
Department
off.
sign-offs.
Yep.
We should probably put a hold on Granite City.
Granite City?
Yeah.
What is that under? Repair?
Okay, so we're putting a hold on Granite City.
Adding that to the list. All right, I move that we move all the others subject to the proper sign-offs.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there any reason to discuss the ones we put on hold? They'll just come before us in the future, right?
Granite, yeah, just, Granite City, Manning probably should be voting, so you guys can vote on it.
Oh, just abstain.
Yeah, he can abstain from it.
Okay.
It's
so-
also Inc. instead of just Granite City.
Okay, Granite City. Is it, oh, I had Granite City Crushing under motor vehicle, is that not right?
It's repair.
Motor vehicle repair.
It says Granite City Crushing, I just want to make sure we get the right
Yeah,
name.
I just added the Inc.
Okay, all right, do you want to move that one?
Yeah, I'll move Granite City Crushing, Inc. under motor vehicle repair.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
One abstention.
And one abstention, so that's 4 and 1 abstention. And then those other ones will come back.
Well, Madam Chair.
Yes?
Could I suggest this?
You may.
I brought up Harry's Country Store, it says county store, I assume it's Harry's Country Store. I do not believe they have an all alcohol license. They have a wine and malt license. Jim would remember this because they would be interested in obtaining an all alcohol license. And I don't know if you discussed that with them, Jim.
Yeah, it should be under wine and malt.
So that's wine and malt. Good catch.
And that one, well, it's not that great of a catch because I go there once in a while. He brings this up to me all the time.
Well, he almost had it. No, that would have been legislation.
Okay, so we just think that was in the wrong category?
Yeah.
All right, so do you want to move that then, Harry's Country Store for the wine and malt?
Yeah.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. So that just leaves the Compton Clam Bakes and the A Auto Sales. And you, okay. Anything else, Paula? No. Okay. I still don't see Jeff Bull. Maybe he, we even got material in our packet today. Maybe he forgot us. The town administrator report. Well, there's nothing, we don't want to talk about that without Jeff, do we? Does anybody really truly want to talk about this without Jeff? No, okay.
You can put it on the next agenda.
Yeah, we'll move it to the next agenda. Okay, town administrator report.
Just a couple of things. Opioid funds. Massachusetts Municipal Association is holding a seminar for town officials on the 26th of September to review the key components of the opioid program and what uses would be eligible. I've signed up for that.
I signed up for it as well.
And Board of Health members, a couple have signed up. We're getting roughly about $50,000 to $60,000 a year. And I did put a spreadsheet in your packet later in the day today, so you may not have looked at it, but we have, I believe after this year, we should have about $350,000 in the account.
Jim, did you ask Board of Health to go watch that, or the police?
Sorry?
I
Did you ask
know
Board of Health Police?
the opioid, I know there's some Board of Health members.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's-
I sent it, but I don't remember if I
Yep.
asked you to send it.
I believe Donna Amaril's going, I believe
Yeah,
that as
okay.
well, so.
I thought I forwarded.
That is something over the next few months or year that we will have to start looking to allocate some of that funding the state is looking for. They don't want us sitting on it. FY '26 budgets, we sent out memos to the departments for the capital improvement plan. Those requests should be due October 17th, which time we'll start setting up meetings to review their capital projects for FY '26. Yearly department budget memo will go out tomorrow with the worksheets. At this point, it'll be pretty much negotiated wages in the salary accounts, and as far as expenses, there'll be level services. I'm pushing for level funded on the expense accounts as best they can. I'll have to justify why there's any changes. It's like every year, it's going to be another tough year. Raises have also gone up a bit. We've been kind of living off 2, 2, and 2 the last few years. Now we're up just over 3. Our revenues do not increase to cover that, so we're going to have to compensate for that going forward. I did attach a yearly budget schedule, which is similar to the previous years, so we'll move in the same direction that we have previously. Just a note on local receipts. Over the last 10 years, we've been kind of increasing our local receipts. This is excise tax is our main revenue source, about 42% of our local receipts. That leveled off in FY '23, and it actually went down just over 4% in FY '24. So, that's not going to help. We've offset some of that lost revenue with investment income, with the new interest rates going up. They were pretty much at 1% for a number of years, and they've gone up 4 or 5% the last year or two. So that's offset it a little bit, but that's leveled off and is coming down a bit. So, again, it'll just be another difficult year. We're going to have to wait until October, November to get our preliminary numbers, and then January, when the governor's budget comes out, to get a good feel as to where we are. Requests for proposals, we sent 2 requests for proposals out last week. One is the feasibility study for the old high school. That went out on Friday. Proposals are due October 24th. We also sent out a revised proposal for the American Legion building on Sanford Road with a reduced scope. Tony Vieira has been working on that quite a bit. We're hoping with the revised scope we'll get under the $150,000, which has been allocated through CPC funds to do that work. These repairs would be mostly on the outside of the building, reshingling and putting up a deck so that they could attach their handicap lift to. ARPA funding, this is just a reminder, all the ARPA funds have to be obligated by December 31st, 2024. The Bristol County ARPA funds have all been obligated to date. We do have some remaining funds left in the local ARPA funds, approximately $500,000. We just used a portion of that tonight, and about $150,000, and then we're probably looking at about $150,000 or so for the offset some of the fall of the water line building, so, billing. We should have about 200,000 left with the CIPC meeting in October. We should be able to find some projects, if some don't come up before then, that we can obligate those funds to. I would suggest that the infrastructure committee have a meeting in the next month or so to kind of review the bid packages for the water line loop up along Route 6. Some of the design contracts, most of them are closed out, but we still have the sewer design for the Macumber Loop. How far do we want to go forward with that? There's some bidding included with that. We're not going to go out to bid next year or so, so we may want to take that out and move that, those funds to another project, but we would have to do that relatively soon.
Well, Jim, I mean, the stuff and the idea now is to have the shovel-ready project, and the design will never go bad. So that's one of the reasons to use that as a project for that.
Okay.
So that's why I was requesting the information on the testing on the Macumber Loop. Because I'm getting a lot of calls on people, think, we gotta let them know that there was contamination found there. The contamination's not gonna go away with the water main installation, and that this is not gonna raise their taxes, it's not gonna cost them any money, and the service will be provided in front of their house, and we will not mandate them to tie in. So as we go into construction, we're gonna be getting a lot more calls. So, I mean, I'm just getting personal calls now, but I'm sure the town's gonna get a ton of calls on that.
And there's also some policies I think the Infrastructure Oversight Committee might want to look at as to how we use some of the funds that have been allocated for the project. The bids came in a little bit lower, so there might be some different options as to how we can utilize that as well.
You're the chair, Steve, so can we get one of them
We'll
scheduled?
get together. We'll get together with Jim for an agenda.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
You had a pretty detailed budget calendar in here. I guess it was a separate memo from, I'm looking at it. It's budget time, I'll review what I think are. Where it started, it says the FY '25 municipal budget, but I think it's the FY '26 municipal budget. October 25th, the department requests need to be submitted to the town administrator, so I know it sounds like we just finished summer, but they only have 6 weeks or so to submit their department requests. Through the October, early November, Jim will meet with all the department heads. And then the preliminary recommendation to the department heads, December 6th. And then December 16, the recommended budget will come to us. So Jim and all the departments are going to be busy in the next few months putting together that budget. I just want to remind people that it was very tight last year, and it's going to be really tight this year also. But there's a whole calendar, which I think it's good, so we all know what to expect. All right, anything else for Jim? Okay. Jeff's not out there. Jeff Bull?
No.
Okay. So we have the minutes of August 26th.
I move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. We have a report on the bill warrant.
Everything was in order. It was $2.8 million, which is pretty normal, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing really huge. So I approved that the other day, and we don't have to do that here, it's just a report. So it went well.
Thank you. And then we have liaison committee reports and suggestions for future agenda. Craig?
The Affordable Housing Trust has not met since your last meeting. We have at least 2 other members of the Long-Term Building Committee on the, who've been on longer than I have, so I'll defer to one or the other.
Okay. Dick?
The only meeting I've attended is the Landing Commission, because I'm the liaison. Nothing there. It was some of the stuff that would have been talked about tonight and some other items, but nothing of consequence. So that's about it. I don't have any other recommendations for future agenda items at the moment.
All right. So for I didn't have any committee meetings, but I was tasked, Craig and I were tasked to work on a charge for the potential offshore wind committee, and I am negligent at doing that. So I dusted off again, and I'll try to work on that so that we're not ignoring the offshore wind committee proposal, we just haven't got the charge together yet. I did have a suggestion that maybe we can talk about at a future meeting I had to look it up to make sure I'm gonna say this right, the semi-quincentennial celebration in 2026. It'll be the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And there's a number of groups that are trying to organize events and things like that. I think we should consider whether we want to have a town, sorry, it's okay. Whether we have a town committee that can kind of coordinate the various organizations in town, or if we want to leave that up to other organizations, like maybe the Historical Commission.
Well, last time the town had one for the, what was it, the 200th? Sue says there's a little bit of money in the, Sue Brayton says there's a little bit of money in the account that was attached to that celebration. And she wasn't quite ready to get organized on it.
There are some grants and things, but I think, I mean, we can talk about it more fully in a proper meeting, but there's some kind of, if you leave it up to an organization, they don't always know the other organizations to communicate with, but then again, I don't know if we want to have another committee either, so.
Well, if it's on the town side, we can get it organized, see if the police are gonna help us and whatnot. If it's a private, then they might have
Yeah,
to raise funds.
I think they're talking about a lot of events, so they're talking about more than, like, maybe you'd work with the 4th of July Parade Committee to kind of theme their parade, and then work with the Historical Commission, work with schools. I think it sounds like a really good project for like the Cultural Council, maybe.
I don't know, I was
So
trying to
we can
organize
talk
it last
about-
year, so Sue said hold off for a little
Yeah,
while.
all right, so we'll
whatever
talk.
you wanna do.
We'll talk about that at a future meeting, but I told somebody I would bring it up
Hopefully there'll be
a
cake.
while ago. There will be cake,
Okay,
for
great.
sure. I
That'd be
will make
great.
sure, private, public, however it is, there will be cake.
Thanks.
All right, that's it for me.
Yeah, I didn't have much either with the Labor Day break between our last meeting. Just wanted to mention the fire department's been averaging, almost 9 calls a day. They're up to, last time I looked, it was 2175. I think they posted on their Facebook for this year. And there's been, like 250 days in the year. So they're still doing a lot. Have cable Wednesday and then Serped next week. So we're busy now that Labor Day's gone by.
Okay. Randy?
As far as infrastructure goes, I don't really have much more to add than what we've already discussed. So we do have the pre-construction meeting coming up, and so the next meeting we'll have a little more.
Do we have any comments and statements from the public? We have a public here,
Yeah,
but she has no comments or statements. Okay.
no comment this time.
I just want to remind people that there's a list of vacancies for board committees and commissions on the town website. If you're interested in a committee, and even if it doesn't look like it has a vacancy, please talk to us, because I know there's some people really trying to get, I know the CPC is really trying to find some new people to come in. So if you know of anybody, if you know of anything you're interested in, please reach out to someone and we'll get you on a committee. I am not aware of any topics unanticipated within 48 hours. Okay, so we are going to go into executive session. We will only come out of executive session for the purposes of adjourning. We will not conduct any business after. So I will entertain a motion pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, where the chair declares an open meeting will have a detrimental effect to discuss A, Fall River water billing, discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, Teamsters Local 251, approve minutes of August 26, 2024. Before we make that motion, I forgot I had another topic. Okay, so Manny and I have been working with Jim on the town administrator contract. His contract is technically up on the 13th of September. We can do the contract is very minimal changes. It's very close to what it was before. So what I'd like to do is have Paula send out the draft to the whole board. And will you please let me know if you would like to have an executive session in order to discuss the contract privately, or I think it's fine to just go ahead and address it in an open meeting. But if you would prefer to have an executive session discussion before that, we can do that. So please, they'll send out the draft, and if you want to have it in an executive session, we will, and then we'd approve it at a later meeting, or we can just approve it at the next meeting. So please review that when you send it out. Okay, now I will entertain that motion.
So move, Steve Millet.
Second, Richard Brewer.
Manny says aye.
Aye, Steve Millet.
I, Shawna Tees.
I, Craig Dutra.
All right, we are in executive